Welcome back to our channel, soap fans. Today is an absolutely beautiful day to unpack the most explosive, jaw-dropping moment in recent daytime television history. The drama in Los Angeles is red hot right now, and we have a massive, action-packed breakdown coming your way. Buckle up, hold on tight, and let's get right into the action. The fist was meant for a Forrester, but destiny had a completely different target. When Will Spencer's knuckles collided with the jaw of the legendary Eric Forrester, the shockwave shattered the very foundation of Los Angeles royalty. It was the punch heard around the world. A brutal, inevitable collision of fate, bruised egos, and high-stakes consequences. The patriarch of Forrester Creations, a man who built a global fashion empire with his bare hands, was sent crashing to the floor of the bikini bar. The neon lights flickered. The music seemed to stop. Electra Forrester's piercing scream echoed through the room. And in that single, violent microsecond, the simmering war between the Spencers, the Logans, and the Forresters went from a corporate boardroom battle to a bloody, visceral street fight. But as the dust settles and the shock wears off, a massive, undeniable question is echoing across every single corner of the internet. A question that is dividing fans, sparking outrage, and igniting fiery debates on every social media platform. Did Eric Forrester actually deserve it? Did the 80-year-old fashion icon have this brutal knockout coming to him? If you ask the fans, the answer is a resounding, unapologetic yes. The internet is absolutely merciless right now. The court of public opinion has spoken, and they have zero sympathy for the fallen patriarch. In fact, they are actively cheering for his downfall. Let's get straight to the drama and break down exactly why the viewers are turning their backs on Eric Forrester. Because this wasn't just an accident. This was karma, delivered at lightning speed, wrapped in a Spencer fist. To understand the sheer magnitude of the backlash, we have to look at Eric's recent behavior. He has been acting like anything but a nice guy. He has been fueling the fire. He has been fanning the flames of this family feud with a level of arrogance that fans find absolutely repulsive. The catalyst for this entire disaster was Eric's unhinged, viral livestream interview. It was supposed to be a triumphant couture launch. It was supposed to be his grand return to the spotlight. Instead, it devolved into a toxic, bitter, and completely unprofessional meltdown. Eric stood in front of a live camera, broadcasting to the entire world, and viciously berated Katie Logan. He didn't just criticize her business acumen. He attacked her character. He branded Katie and Hope as thieves. He accused the House of Logan of thievery, effectively dragging the mother of Will Spencer through the mud for millions of people to see. He looked frantic. He looked bitter. He looked like a man who had completely lost control of his own narrative. And Will Spencer was watching. Will, a young man who was fiercely protective of his mother, saw the patriarch of his rival family publicly humiliate Katie. He saw Eric spit venom at the Logans. The rage was already boiling in Will's veins long before he ever set foot inside the bikini bar. The tension was a powder keg, and Eric's mouth was the match. So when the physical altercation finally erupted, fans were already primed to see Eric take a hit. The social media commentary is absolutely savage, and it paints a crystal clear picture of where the audience stands. One furious fan took to the forums and wrote, "I don't feel bad for Eric getting knocked out. I honestly don't have any sympathy for Eric getting punched in the face, because he had it coming, especially after berating Katie and the entire Logan family." This perfectly captures the mood of the viewers. Eric cannot play the victim when he is the one holding the smoking gun. He cannot launch a vicious, unprovoked public attack on the Logans and then expect to be treated with kid gloves just because he is a senior citizen. He crossed a massive line. He made it personal. And when you make it personal with a Spencer, you are going to pay the ultimate price. But the backlash doesn't stop there. The sheer absurdity of Eric's actions at the bikini bar is what really has fans shaking their heads in disbelief. Let's set the scene. Will Spencer approaches Electra Forrester. He is heartbroken. He is desperate. He misses her, and he tells her so plainly. Melissa Dillon is watching from a distance, her eyes tracking every single movement. R.J. Forrester, the golden boy with a massive chip on his shoulder, immediately clocks the interaction. R.J. swoops in. He wants to play the hero. He wants to shut Will down. The testosterone is flying. The egos are clashing. Will and R.J. are two young, hot-headed men with a bitter rivalry over the same woman. A physical confrontation is practically inevitable. But instead of letting the boys handle their own business, instead of calling security, instead of simply walking away, what does Eric Forrester do? He wedges himself directly into the middle of the fight. He plants himself right between Will and R.J. He starts barking orders. He snaps at Will. He talks down to him. He calls him out, telling him to go home to his father. He completely disrespects a young man who is already seeing red. Will refuses to be talked down to by the old man. R.J. gets angrier. The shoving match escalates. Elektra is begging them to stop, her voice cracking with panic. Eric could have walked away at any single second. He could have stepped back. He could have realized that this was not his fight. But his massive, unchecked ego simply wouldn't allow it. Eric Forrester believes he is untouchable. He believes that his name, his legacy, and his age grant him absolute immunity from the consequences of his actions. He stood in the middle of a war zone, completely oblivious to the danger, convinced that his mere presence would command absolute obedience. He was dead wrong. Will finally swings. The fist is meant for R.J. It is meant to wipe the smug, arrogant look off the younger Forrester's face. But in the chaos, in the violent blur of the scuffle, the punch lands squarely on Eric Forrester's jaw. The patriarch drops like a stone. And the fans? The fans are absolutely loving it. Another vocal critic sounded off online, writing, "I don't either. He's 80. Why get involved in the middle of two 20-year-olds in a physical fight? He got himself hurt." This is the brutal reality that the Forrester family is going to have to face. Eric brought this on himself. He inserted himself into a volatile, dangerous situation that had absolutely nothing to do with him. The arrogance required for an octogenarian to step into the middle of a frat boy brawl is staggering. It speaks to a deep, underlying toxicity within the Forrester patriarch. He simply cannot stand to not be in control. He cannot stand to let other people fight their own battles. He has to be the center of attention, the ultimate authority figure, the supreme commander of every single interaction. And this time, that desperate need for control got him knocked unconscious on a sticky bar floor. The generational divide among the viewers is also fascinating. Even older fans are refusing to give Eric a pass based on his age. One viewer commented, "Eric should have stayed out of it. I'm 70 and I'm sure not going to get in the middle of two kids going at it like that. Old fool. Old fool." That is the new legacy of Eric Forrester. Not a fashion icon. Not a legendary designer. An old fool who didn't know when to keep his mouth shut and stay out of the way. When your own demographic is calling you out for your sheer stupidity, you know you have made a catastrophic error in judgment. Eric's actions defy all logic and common sense. He acted recklessly, fueled by the lingering adrenaline of his disastrous livestream and his desperate need to assert dominance over the Spencer family. He wanted to put Will in his place. Instead, Will put him on the floor. The lack of sympathy is truly unprecedented for a legacy character. Usually, when a patriarch is injured, the fans rally around them. They send prayers. They express outrage at the attacker. But not this time. "It was nice seeing him get knocked out," wrote another fan. "I don't care how old he is. He stepped in, and has already been running his mouth enough as it is." This is the ultimate consequence of Eric's toxic behavior. He has alienated the audience. He has burned through decades of goodwill in a matter of weeks. His constant complaining, his bitter rants, his refusal to accept responsibility for his own failures, it has all culminated in this single, spectacular moment of physical retribution. The fans are tired of Eric running his mouth. They are tired of him playing the victim while actively sabotaging Katie and the Logans. They are tired of his hypocrisy. And perhaps the most hilarious, unhinged fan reaction of all perfectly sums up the sheer entertainment value of this chaotic storyline. One viewer boldly proclaimed, "The only thing that would have been better would be for Will to have dropped RJ with a stone-cold stunner instead." Well, I had that in my mind while I was watching it. A stone-cold stunner. The fans are treating this family feud like a WWE main event, and honestly, can you blame them? The drama has reached absolute fever pitch. The stakes have never been higher. The physical violence has crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. This is no longer just about dresses and runways. This is about blood. This is about honor. This is about survival. Let's break down the immediate fallout of this catastrophic event, because the ripple effects are going to tear Los Angeles apart. First, we have to look at Will Spencer. Will is going to face massive repercussions for this. You cannot assault a senior citizen, especially one with the wealth and power of Eric Forrester, and expect to walk away scot-free. Even if it was an accident, even if Eric stepped into the line of fire, the optics are absolutely brutal. A young, powerful Spencer just decked the elderly patriarch of the Forrester family. Ridge Forrester is going to demand blood. Ridge is going to want Will locked up. He is going to use every single ounce of his influence to destroy Will's life. But let's not forget the absolute, staggering hypocrisy of Ridge Forrester. Ridge is going to cry foul. He is going to scream about violence and safety. He is going to paint Will as a dangerous, unhinged monster. But the fans remember history. The fans remember that Ridge Forrester, along with his brother Thorne, once barged into Bill Spencer's home uninvited and literally threw Bill off a balcony. Ridge has a history of extreme, lethal violence against the Spencer family. For him to suddenly clutch his pearls and act horrified by a bar fight is the height of Forrester arrogance. If Ridge tries to play the moral high ground, Bill Spencer is going to destroy him. Speaking of Dollar Bill, how is he going to react to this? Bill is already having the absolute best day of his life. He is gleefully watching the internet tear Eric apart with viral memes. He is soaking in the free PR for Logan Designs. When Bill finds out that his son just knocked Eric Forrester out cold, Bill might actually throw a parade. Bill will protect Will with every $1 billion at his disposal. He will hire the best lawyers on the planet. He will spin this narrative faster than a couture sewing machine. Bill will argue that Will was defending himself against RJ, and that Eric recklessly endangered himself. Bill will turn Eric into the villain of his own tragedy. And what about Elektra? Elektra is the prize in this violent tug-of-war, but she is the one who is going to suffer the most emotional trauma. She had to watch the man she still has feelings for brutally strike her grandfather. Even if she knows it was an accident, the visual of Eric dropping to the floor is going to be burned into her retinas forever. Will this push Elektra straight into RJ's arms? Or will she realize that the toxic, suffocating control of the Forrester family is exactly what caused this disaster in the first place? If Eric hadn't interfered, if RJ hadn't escalated the situation, nobody would have gotten hurt. Elektra is going to have to make a choice. Blood or love? The past or the future? And then there is the corporate fallout. Forrester Creations is already bleeding. They are facing a massive financial crisis because of Eric's lackluster, overly expensive new collection. The public sentiment has turned entirely toward Katie and the House of Logan. Now, the face of their company is battered, bruised, and publicly humiliated. How can Forrester Creations' project Strength and Elegance when their patriarch is getting knocked out in beach bars? The reputational damage is catastrophic. The investors are going to panic. The buyers are going to pull back. This single punch might just be the fatal blow that brings the Forrester empire crashing to the ground. Eric Forrester picked a fight that was never his. He let his ego override his common sense. He let his bitterness poison his legacy. He thought he could control the chaos, but the chaos consumed him. Karma doesn't care about your last name. Karma doesn't care about your bank account. And karma certainly doesn't care how old you are. When you run your mouth, when you berate innocent people, when you step into the middle of a raging fire, you are going to get burned. Or, in Eric's case, you are going to get knocked out cold. The fans have spoken. The verdict is in. Eric Forrester got exactly what he deserved. He had it coming. The only question now is, what happens next? Will Eric's bruised ego spark a deadly Forrester revenge plot, or is the Spencer War just beginning? Next. Ridge Forrester is officially forcing Brooke Logan to choose between her marriage and her own flesh and blood. The ultimate, devastating ultimatum is finally here. The legendary romance of Bridge is standing on the edge of a jagged cliff, and one wrong move will send decades of history plummeting into the abyss. Brooke is about to face the most impossible decision of her entire life, and the fallout will leave a trail of absolute destruction across two separate empires. The theme of the summer has been declared with venomous clarity: Spencers and Forresters do not mix. This is not just a catchy corporate slogan or a petty PR spin. This is a blood oath sworn by Ridge Forrester after witnessing his family physically attacked and publicly humiliated. The fashion war has officially bled into the streets, and the sheer violence of the recent clashes has transformed Ridge from a frustrated dressmaker into a ruthless, wartime general. He is taking no prisoners, and he is accepting zero compromises. The inciting incident that pushed this rivalry into a full-blown vendetta happened on the sticky floor of the Bikini Bar. Will Spencer, fueled by rage and reckless entitlement, unleashed a violent meltdown that shattered any remaining hope for peace. The image of Eric Forrester, the legendary patriarch of the fashion industry, catching a brutal fist to the jaw and collapsing to the floor is burned into the minds of every single Forrester. A Spencer physically assaulted the king of couture. The ultimate line was crossed, and the retaliation is going to be biblical. Ridge is boiling with a protective fury that cannot be contained. His father was struck down. His son, R.J. Forrester, was violently assaulted by the exact same Spencer heir. The Forrester men are under siege, and Ridge has locked down his empire with an iron fist. He has already ordered employees to sever all ties with the Spencer family, purging the ranks of anyone who dares to sympathize with the enemy. The zero-tolerance policy is absolute, and Ridge is demanding complete, unquestioning loyalty from everyone who carries the Forrester name or sleeps under a Forrester roof. Enter Brooke Logan. Brooke skipped town to cool off, seeking peace and clarity at a remote wellness center. When she left Los Angeles, she was seeing red. She was consumed by a feral fury over her daughter Hope defecting to the rival Logan Designs. Brooke felt betrayed, humiliated, and entirely aligned with the Forrester outrage. But isolation has a funny way of shifting perspectives. The time away stripped the corporate anger from Brooke's heart and replaced it with a desperate, overwhelming maternal instinct. Brooke is returning to the canvas this week as a completely changed woman. The corporate betrayal no longer matters to her. The fashion rivalry has faded into the background. She is returning to Los Angeles ready to bury the hatchet, desperate to heal the massive fracture that has torn her and Hope apart. She wants to wrap her arms around her daughter, put the past behind them, and rebuild their shattered relationship. Brooke is walking back into the city expecting to serve tea and crumpets, completely oblivious to the active war zone she is stepping into. The timing could not possibly be worse. Brooke walks through the grand doors of the Forrester estate expecting a peaceful homecoming, only to find a husband who is actively sharpening his knives for a total massacre of the Spencer family. Ridge is vibrating with a lethal, uncompromising rage. While Brooke was meditating and finding her center, Ridge was watching his father nurse a black eye and plotting the absolute destruction of Bill Spencer and his entire bloodline. The disconnect between husband and wife is staggering, and the collision is going to be spectacular. When Brooke announces her intention to kiss and make up with Hope, Ridge is going to lose his mind. He cannot fathom how his wife could possibly want to make peace with the new mascot of the enemy camp. Hope is not just a rival designer anymore, she is a Spencer by association, a traitor who aligned herself with the very people who are physically assaulting the Forrester men. Ridge has declared a scorched earth war on the Spencers, and he views anyone who stands with them as an active combatant. This is the exact moment Ridge backs his wife into a corner and drops the ultimate bomb. He is going to issue a brutal, unforgiving ultimatum. If Brooke thinks she can have Hope and Ridge in her life at the same time, she has another thing coming. Ridge is drawing a permanent line in the sand. He will look the love of his life dead in the eyes and force her to make a choice. It is him, or it is her daughter. There is no middle ground. There is no compromise. The era of the Logan women playing both sides of the fence is officially over. The psychological weight of this ultimatum is astronomical. Hope has accused Brooke of choosing Ridge over her for years. This is not a new grievance, this is a deeply rooted, historical trauma that has haunted Hope since childhood. Every single time the chips are down, every single time a conflict arises between the Forrester demands and the Logan needs, Brooke inevitably sides with her husband. Hope has felt like a second-class citizen in her own mother's heart for decades, constantly sacrificed on the altar of the legendary bridge romance. If Brooke bows to Ridge's demands now, she validates every single one of Hope's deepest, darkest insecurities. If Brooke abandons her daughter at the exact moment Hope is trying to build her own independent legacy at Logan Designs, she will destroy their mother-daughter bond permanently. Hope will never forgive her. The betrayal will be absolute, and Brooke will lose her flesh and blood forever. She will cement her legacy as a woman who prioritized a man over her own child, a label she has desperately fought to avoid. But the alternative is equally devastating. If Brooke finally stands her ground, if she finally puts her daughter first and refuses to cut ties with the enemy camp, the legendary bridge romance crumbles into dust. Ridge is not bluffing. His pride is wounded, his family has been attacked, and his patience has completely evaporated. If Brooke aligns with Hope and the Spencers, Ridge will not hesitate to kick her to the curb. He will view it as the ultimate betrayal, a knife to the back during a time of war. The tragedy of this situation is magnified by the coordinated Forrester attack happening right next door. Ridge is not acting alone in this ruthless purge. Eric Forrester is executing the exact same maneuver on Donna Logan. The Forrester men are uniting in their grief and rage, and they are systematically stripping the Logan women of their independence. The summer fashion war is actively ripping the Logan sisters apart and threatening to leave them without their Forrester husbands if they refuse to bend the knee. Eric, still nursing the physical and emotional wounds from Will's brutal punch, has reached his absolute limit. He has shouted at Donna for choosing Katie over him, furious at her silence regarding the corporate theft. Eric refuses to forgive Donna's betrayal and cannot even discuss business around her anymore. Their marriage is hanging by the thinnest of threads, and Eric is dropping his own explosive ultimatum. Donna must completely cut ties with Katie and the Spencers, or Eric will immediately serve her with divorce papers. The parallel is striking and terrifying. Both Brooke and Donna are being forced to sever their bloodlines to prove their loyalty to the Forrester crown. The Logan women have managed to navigate husband swapping, baby stealing, and cheating scandals for decades, always finding a way to protect their sisterhood. But this coordinated corporate and family warfare is a completely different beast. The Forrester patriarchs are demanding absolute submission, and the Logan women are trapped in a suffocating vice grip. Brooke is staring down the barrel of a loaded gun. She loves Ridge with a fiery, all-consuming passion that has survived decades of turmoil. But she also loves her daughter, and the guilt of her past failures as a mother is eating her alive. She cannot bear to abandon Hope again, especially when Hope is finally stepping out of the shadows to claim her own destiny. But she also cannot bear to lose the man she believes is her ultimate destiny. The walls are closing in, and the pressure is reaching a critical, explosive mass. Ridge is standing firm, his jaw set and his eyes completely devoid of mercy. He is demanding that Brooke prove her loyalty once and for all. He is demanding that she look at the bruised face of his father, remember the assault on his son, and recognize that the Spencers are a toxic cancer that must be excised from their lives. He is demanding that she sacrifice her daughter to save her marriage. It is the cruelest, most vindictive demand Ridge has ever made, and it proves just how deeply the Spencer hatred has poisoned his soul. The clock is ticking, and the entire landscape of Los Angeles fashion is holding its breath. The battle lines are drawn in permanent ink. The ultimatums have been delivered with lethal precision. Brooke Logan is standing at the ultimate crossroads, and her next move will dictate the future of two massive dynasties. Will she finally break the cycle and choose her daughter, sacrificing her legendary marriage in the process? Or will she bow to the Forrester crown, abandoning hope and securing her place at Ridge's side? The fallout is going to be absolute carnage. Will Brooke sacrifice her own flesh and blood to save her marriage, or is this the final, permanent end of Bridge? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and join the conversation.